The council took a vote, authorized me to sign it, I signed it, and they've got it.
It's on and we're going with it.
Can you imagine with Laurie now, after it's been in the paper that we have, and we're listed in the complaint now that's been filed?
No. Well, when it first came out, Channel 6 didn't have us part of it. When they first advertised it on their lovely media. All set? Good evening. I'll bring the Lisbon Town Council meeting for August 4th, 2015 to order. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And the first item, please.
Is roll call. Councilor Garrison?
Present.
Councilor Lunt?
Here.
Councilor McTevier?
Here.
Councilor Bickford is
Excused.
okay. Councilor Crafts?
He is also excused.
Councilor Pesky?
Here.
And Councilor Brunel?
Here.
And the next item, please.
Is good news and recognition.
Open the floor for any good news and recognition from council. See none. Next item, please.
Is public hearings, the vitriol's license for the 720 Club.
Open the floor for the public hearing. See none. I'll close the public hearing. And the next item, please.
For audience participation and response for agenda items.
Open the floor for audience participation regarding agenda items. See none. I'll close audience participation. And the next item, please.
Is the consent agenda. Order 2015-220 to approve the sewer commitment attached. The renewal mobile home park licenses for Edwall. The vitriol's license for the 720 Club and the minutes of July 21, 2015.
I'd open the floor for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Discussion. All those in
I just wanted to say something about the sewer commitment. We'll be doing this 2 more times for the sewer commitment at the beginning of October and September, and after that, we no longer have to do a commitment. There's new legislation that just passed in Augusta, and starting
Perfect.
with October 15th, we no longer have to. So we won't have that on there any longer after October.
That's good
Now
news.
that we finally get it on there, we don't have to after.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Order passed 5-0, and I'll pass this around for your signatures.
Thank you.
Council orders, resolutions, and ordinances. Order 2015-221, the camera for the fuel pumps.
Ryan? Thank you.
Good evening. I guess I apologize, I wasn't able to make your last workshop. I guess there were some questions about the cameras that you needed some clarification on. I'd be happy to answer those questions, and had a recommendation based on the quotes that we'd received. We basically, there's so many different alternatives with security cameras and whatnot. I just walked through the Public Works Garage site and the transfer station site and showed them some of the areas that we wanted to monitor. And we're wondering what, based on what equipment they have to offer, what their recommendations were. And you've got 2 recommendations, Seco Security and Custom Technology Group, which were essentially duplicate equipment. It's based on the systems we currently have installed at the MTM Center as well as the sewer department treatment plant. And the major difference between the 2 was that Custom Technology Group recommended we have 2 servers, one installed at the Public Works Garage and one installed at the transfer station, rather than have one shared one. That way you'd have more space, a little duplicity, and just the connection sometimes between the Public Works Garage and the transfer station kind of the bad run through there that we sometimes have issues with. So they thought it would be easier to have 2. I mean, it does increase the price by about $1,500 above the other bid. And then the advanced technology proposal was significantly more at about $14,000, and they used actually less cameras. Their cameras are a little more high end. I think the installation was a little more high end, but based on the systems that we've had at the MTM and the treatment plant now for, I'm going to say at least 3 years, maybe longer at the MTM. We've been pretty happy with them. They're easily expandable, and Custom Technology Group is the same company that we use that does all our phone and systems around the for all the town buildings as well. So all things being equal, the prices we got were back from February. So recommendation, I guess, is if we want to move forward with this project would be that we go out to bid based on the Seacoast and probably a mixture of the Seacoast and the Custom Technology bid, with probably looking at having one server, if you will, shared between the two, with the option of having a second, so we can see what the pricing would be from the other vendors.
Council have any questions for Ryan?
Would these be tied in to the comp center?
They're not tied in per se. They, like I know Mark monitors the MTM center through his phone, because it is
Okay.
all web-based, so we can make those connections. In the past, we haven't done that, but I don't see that as being something that would be too difficult for us to make happen. But if that's something we'd want, I'd want to make sure we included that as part of the package,
Right.
so that way that whatever programming is necessary would be handled, so. It's just not something that we've done
Right.
at the two installations that we have.
One of the questions I had was looking at Seacoast Security. It looks like they included 3 cameras in theirs, and Custom Technology was including 6. And I was wondering, was it different technology, or, you know, I'm assuming that they all saw the site, or they all knew the site we were talking about, and that's just, you know, quite a difference in coverage.
Custom Technology Group, I think, was, I'd have to, this is going back a while now.
Oh, yeah, there's,
There's 6 locations there. I think it was, because we were picking multiple different points around some of this was a little up in the air because the Public Works addition. I'd back up a little bit too, because with where the addition went with the location of the diesel pump, you know, I wasn't 100% sure, but some of the Seacoast, I think, thought that they could get better coverage, or was willing to recommend less cameras because of the field of view. They're basically the same camera, so I guess I couldn't say what the overall difference was, other than, again, we walked through several different times, and I think Custom Technology Group added multiple locations more than Seacoast, but because Advanced Technology only had 1 camera to do all of, I think, the Public Works, based on the 360 field of view that they could do with theirs. So I don't have much else to say, I guess, other than I'm not sure, I guess, is the best answer. If this is, again, we were trying to get ballpark prices to see if this was something that was even feasible. This is a project that we want to do. As long as I know exactly what areas we want to monitor, then, you know, it'll be easy now to go out and say, we want a camera here, here, and here, and give us a price to be able to provide day and night visibility.
Well, this all started when we started talking about fuel, you know, accountability with the fuel, and we've kind of expanded from just the fuel pumps to the yard of the
Yep.
Public Works and transfer station. And I personally think that there's a lot of valuable equipment down there, and we should do what we need to do to make sure it's covered. And if it's an extra $1,500 to get a better, you know, get 2 servers and to get more cameras to meet our needs, I think it's well worth it than having a system that, yes, you can see, but maybe is it really what you need to see when a situation happens. So I would support us going back to these companies, getting some firm numbers, updated numbers, and for you to identify with them exactly what you want to see, and come back to us with, you know, here we go, here's what it is, and go from there.
That's fine, and it's, like I said, with the garage, with the addition now too, it'll be easier for us, because that's kind of firmed up.
Yep.
We know exactly what that's going to look like, so we can easily determine. I mean, because now with that building where it is, the field of view that we were looking at up from the transfer station is gone from one of the cameras, so it will be a whole new layout at this point.
And Diane, did we identify where in the budget we could purchase this from?
I think under their maintenance budget line items, because when you factor in the fuel usage and the percentage by department and the school, you're talking minimal dollars, especially if you're going to have a server up to the transfer station. They're going to take a bulk of it. It's like almost half the amount, right, Ryan?
Well, if you were to look at it, I mean, if you were just to picture it, basically the transfer station, we're trying to have the camera inside the building so we can have visibility of the hopper, be able to see, number one, what's going in there, but also if there's an incident. I mean, there was one
Right.
in another community.
Yep,
You know,
sure.
it's to have that evidence would be invaluable. And the other location is just to be able to view the yard, which allows you to view the bays where you put all your bulky items, as well as the entrance gate, and to get that visibility. We think we can do that with pretty much 2 cameras, and then it's, you know, the yard. So basically, if you look at the Seacoast one, half of the Seacoast price would have gone to the transfer station, and the other half would have been split up, and I ran the percentages. I mean, it's anywhere from the rec department would have about just over 1% of the cost to Public Works 20%, and then the school department around 40%, you know, and breaking it down between rec, Public Works, school, fire, solid waste, sewer, police, animal control, I mean, water department, parks department, everybody that uses, because the main goal was for the fuel pumps, and I guess, and I believe you did cover the fact that it was deemed at this point the cameras would be probably a better solution versus electronic monitoring,
Right.
since the diesel pump we know needs to be
Yep.
replaced in the next 5 years.
I contacted the superintendent to tell him that we were talking about this, and he said that, you know, he expressed an interest in this and said that, back along when we were talking about it, that they would like to take theirs from their reserve account when the time comes, so they're still on board with it.
Okay. All right. I'm good with this moving forward. Anything else from council? All right. We'll see you back at a later date for it.
Do that.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yep.
And the next item, please.
Order 2015-222, the winter salt.
And Ryan again.
I like getting them all done at once. Last year, we kind of came after the fact to seek permission, and this year, we're real early, I hope.
Very good.
to seek
Very good.
permission. And it is only August, but we are already starting to think about winter operations, which is terrible. As is years past, AvCog is, on our behalf and the surrounding community's behalf, has gone out. They didn't actually go out to bid again this year. They negotiated a 10% increase to last year's price with Eastern Salt, who was the provider from last year. With our, we're in the south region, we would be at 61.44 a ton. Last year we were at 55.85, I think, a ton. We did contact DOT because we were able to purchase on the state bid. DOT had sent out their own requests in the fall early spring, to find out which communities would be considering purchasing through their process. It was one of those deals where if you kind of said you would, then we were kind of committing to it, and we didn't say we would because we can come in after the fact. We did get a price of $66.94 a ton, was what DOT had shared with me, for a surrounding community. Didn't say which community. That was based on 700 tons. We were usually around 2,000. So, I mean, it may be a little bit cheaper, but based on the way things have trended in the last several years, I think buying through the AvCog bid at 61.44 this year is the best alternative, so that's what we're asking permission to do.
Open the floor for a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid for 6144.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Thank you for coming early. All those in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
And the next item, please.
Order 2015-223, consideration of acceptance of Fairbanks Road.
Diane?
Yeah, you have in your packet a recommendation from the planning board regarding the, accepting the Fairbanks Road. This has not gone to our legal, and it also has not gone to the engineer to see if the road is up to the town specs at this point. So that would be my recommendation. It would be to authorize the acceptance of the road contingent upon sending this out to the town engineer for review, and also legal review on what we need to do to accept the road.
Council have anything from reading in their packet? Any questions?
Has this been evaluated by like an outside engineering firm at all?
I don't know. I don't know.
Town engineer
We
have
just,
any?
we just got it this last week.
Okay.
I know there's some
Okay.
people in the audience
Yeah.
Right.
who may
Of
be
the
able to have a
plan.
little insight on that.
Yes, sir.
My name's Jim Kelly, I built the road. It's been there about 11 years now. If you bother to take a ride up, I think you'll find that it's, every bit is good, or better than most of the roads we got in our town. I've been in construction my whole life. Crooker built the road. It's got a very substantial sub-base under it. had the binder coats put on, and the wearing surface after that. It's got excellent drainage. It's, I think it meets, back when I was asked to build that, as part of getting a building permit, it had to meet the town criteria for town roads. And I know that the code enforcement was there many times checking it. Public Works was there checking it. So at that time, I think that might have been all we had for officials that were gonna look at it. Any other questions that I could
How
answer?
long ago was that?
About 11 years.
11 years ago.
What's the situation with the utilities there? I know they're underground, but are those your property, or would they be deeded to the town?
They actually would be part of, when I put them utilities in, you sign an agreement with Central Maine Power.
Mm-hmm.
And when another homeowner comes along, then that cost, we had to provide a cost to Central Maine Power, what it costs to put the utilities in there. And then a portion of that cost, prorated, they prorate the
Mhm.
cabling and everything else, over the time that's passed.
So would they, if CMP owns it, would they be responsible for maintaining it?
That's
Okay,
correct.
all right.
Yep. There's no cable TV up there, because they don't wanna pull a wire down that far. Telephone right there. There'd be no problems with that.
Any other questions for Mr. Kelly? Thank you very much. Well, I think the planning board went through their portion, did their due diligence, and the road is very nice from driving by from Route 9. But I personally would like to have Oliver Associates, our engineering firm, review it, and then also legal counsel to review it to make sure it meets all of our standards. Because accepting a road, in my opinion, is a big deal, assuming that a liability. So I would like to see that happen, and then it should come back to the council for further review at a later date, personally.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to delegate our authority on this issue. I want to see all the facts before we vote on anything. I think it's our responsibility as a council to vote on this, not to delegate it to the staff.
I'll concur.
Okay.
Table it or just vote on it and come bring it back another time.
I think we can just table it until we get a vote, until we actually get the information that we need from staff at
Well,
next meeting.
Move it to a new agenda since we don't have a
Yeah.
motion on the
Yeah.
floor.
Can I ask another question?
Yes, for sure.
To Mr. Kelly, you built that road 11 years ago? Yes, sir. And is there a reason why 11 years had passed before you wanted to become a town road, or, I mean, is it, is it, yeah, could you not?
There was never anybody else, wanted to build a residence there
Right,
until now.
Right.
So I've maintained it for 11 years, and
somebody else is gonna get a piece in there and put in another house?
so we'd like to get, some assistance with that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Anything else?
Nope.
Diane, you all set?
I am.
All right. So move it to a new agenda for a later date, after we hear back. Thank you. And the next item, please.
Order 2015-224, Maine Downtown Center Network Community Agreement.
Tracy?
I didn't bring my notes, so I'm just going to wing this. You have before you, this is an annual agreement between the town and the Main Street designation, which is the Maine Development Foundation. This is the opportunity back in, I believe, 2009, Lisbon became a downtown network community. as part of that, the goal is to get yourselves to where you are designated as a main downtown community. We have a lot of work to do, and this also helps within our scoring through our CDBG grants. This is all part of it in downtown revitalization. So I'm asking permission to continue on with the agreement for those services. They provide technical services as well as training for helping us to meet that goal as far as for our downtown designation. The funds is already put in through my budget, so that is already put aside for this. As we did our budget, that was one of the summaries that I had as far as to pay for this. So it's not coming out of anybody else's budget, but that.
Any questions or comments for Tracy? See none, thank you very much. I'll open the floor for a motion. One way or the other.
I'll make the motion that we accept that she can go forward with this.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
Thank you. And the next item, please.
Order 2015-225, a renewal mass gathering and itinerant vendor permit for Positive Change Lisbon. The motion will be on the floor from the May 19th, 2015 council meeting to approve.
All right. Do you have it in your notes who made that motion? I don't have it. But we just have a motion on the floor.
Right, a motion is now removed and put back on the floor for action.
We have a motion to accept. Any discussion on this? We went through and did we amended the ordinance to allow a waiver for nonprofits. And this was for Positive Change Lisbon and any other nonprofits that come forward. All those in favor of the motion?
Order passed, 5-0.
And the next item, please.
Order 2015-226, a renewal mass gathering permit, itinerant vendor permit for the Riverside Flea Market. This motion was also tabled May 19th, 2015, and is now back on the floor for action. It was a motion to approve.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion?
Order passed, 5-0.
And the next item, please.
Order 2015-227 to solicit bids for fuel.
Yep, it's that time of year again to start looking at the fuel prices. I don't know if you've noticed, but this week they've dropped dramatically. So I want to keep watching it and have the authority to try and go out to bid at the right time. When we do this process, usually the amount that they give you is only lasts throughout that evening and into the next morning. So what I'd like to do is to have authorization to solicit fuel bids and then enter into a contract for the best pricing. I'll do my best to try to get them to come back on a council meeting day so that I can bring it to you formally, but that may not happen depending on what's going on. Our current contract expires in October.
Open the floor for motion.
Make the motion that we accept that she goes forward and try to get the lowest price we can get.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
And the next item, please.
Order 2015-228 to set the registrar hours and casting of absentee ballot times for the November 3rd, 2015 election. The recommendation is for the registrar hours to be held October 26, 27, 28, 29, and November 2 during regular office hours and on election day, November 3rd. During the polling hours will be 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and cast absentee ballots on election day at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. on election day. Basically what happens is, depending on the number of absentee ballots that we have, we bring them to the polling place 2 times in the morning and 2 times in the afternoon. We're just not sure what other situations have to be taken care of and at what time we would arrive. And we wouldn't want to be late and not be able to process them. So that's the reason why you see every hour all day long.
I'd open the floor for a motion.
Make the motion to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
Thank you very much, Twyla.
I want to let you know that nomination papers for the elected seats are going to be open and available on August the 12th. And those seats at large would be Greg Garrison for council. District 1 would be Mark Lunt. District 2 would be Dylan Pesky. For school committee at large, Kathy Yergin, Pete Reed. And then a school committee member for a one-year term, George Karen, who is resigned. Then we have a water commission at large seat, Stan Dowdy. And nomination papers will typically be filed September 21 at 6 p.m.
And you got your work cut out for you.
We love to be busy.
And the next item, please.
Order 2015-229, the fireworks ordinance. This is the first reading. A roll call vote is required.
Before I ask for a motion, we have the new fireworks, or not the new, but an amended fireworks ordinance proposed in front of us. Councilor Garrison was our editor, putting this together. We talked about it in a workshop briefly. The manager went through and made a legal change under violations for the 4th citation. And Greg also offered some changes. Do you have anything else, Greg?
Yes, paragraph C2, rather than immediately after, the weekend immediately after July 4th, it should be Moxie weekend, just in case Moxie weekend did not fall on the weekend after the 4th. We won't tie ourselves down to that weekend. And for section D, under exceptions, I would recommend moving the town of Lisbon and/or from that sentence. So it would just apply to permits issued by the state. Because those are for non-consumer fireworks.
And you all set with the permits must be obtained from the fire department on the day of use and shall not be issued in advance. That's another change.
Yes.
And those will be issued right at the PD at the comm center, correct? Just like a fire permit?
They'll be wherever they do the fire permits.
Right over there. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I think if we're gonna change that to be Moxie weekend, we need to make sure it says as designated by the council, so that the council sets Moxie weekend every year, so there's no confusion about what constitutes Moxie weekend.
I have no problem with that.
Yep. Any other comments on this? Greg, you want to give us a motion with the additional changes you just identified?
Well, we just changed a few more too, so I'd say we accept it as amended. How about that?
Okay. Is that all set, Twyla? Doing it that way?
Would that work?
Yep,
Okay.
you have your violation, the 4th violation added. You had C2, the Moxie weekend amendment, and D, the exception to delete town of Lisbon, correct?
Yes.
And
Correct.
the other sentence that was added in the first paragraph.
All right.
We're good.
I'd open the floor for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Discussion. Is there a second?
Second?
Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
Counselor Brunel?
Yes.
Counselor Pesky?
Yes.
Counselor Crafts is absent. Counselor McTevier?
Yes.
And Counselor Garrison?
Yes.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Order passed.
And the next item, please.
Other business, town manager's report.
If the weather holds out, they're gonna do the paving tonight on Route 196.
Nice.
I know, they've worked really well and fast getting this done by working
Good
at
job.
night. I think it's helped.
Yep.
And then, mid-August, they're gonna be doing the chip seal on the Ferry Road where they recently did some paving, and on the Webster roads. So we're not completely done. That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions from council? No. Next item, please.
Audience participation and response for new items.
Open the floor for audience participation. Ms. Neto.
Good evening, members of the Town Council and Town Manager. Mrs. Barnes asked me to share a discussion and decision that she and I made late last week that didn't make it under your agenda items, but we felt it needed to be addressed promptly in reference to temporary changes in library hours. With the pending retirement of our children's librarian, Ms. Keller, on August 29th, losing our summer intern, which was a wonderful program, by the way. She was invaluable. She's leaving for college the 22nd. And our current library aide will resume her 15-hour schedule because she's going back to her full-time college duties as well. That will leave us with only 3 staff people until the 2 positions are filled. The 2 jobs that will be open at the end of the month are currently being advertised. That was in Sunday's paper, and Jody and I are going to work on that as quickly as we can. In the meantime, as I said, that leaves us with only 3 people to man the entire library, both floors. Based on those remaining staff people and the hours of operation that we currently have, Mrs. Bond authorized the library to close at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday instead of 6. That's an hour less. And to open at 9 a.m. throughout the 5 days instead of 8:30 a.m. We both felt that will have the least impact on our customers. That won't touch the Tuesday night, to convenience the people with one evening still, and it will keep the Saturday intact because we do see different clientele on Saturday, so those hours will not be impacted. The best thing that this will do temporarily is patron safety. Just the thought of just closing the children's room at 5 and, putting a chair or something in front of the door because it's a fire door. If you've got your back to the desk and you're making a fax copy, it just takes a minute and a half for a child to get down there, and we just don't want to even think that. So safety first, and she's made that decision. Governing board will be made aware of this at their next meeting a week from tomorrow, but I'm sure we have their support. I don't think that's a problem. What this change will, as I say, allow us to continue services. The temp hours will also allow us to continue story time for our preschoolers. That's very important. On Thursday mornings, I will conduct story time. After Mrs. Keller leaves. I'll also come in half days on Mondays to continue my home delivery for senior citizens. I'll also take up Miss Jo Jean's. On the alternate Monday, I'll take up her daycare visits because that was going well. And to drop those programs, you really lose out. They lose out, and to pick it back up is difficult. And the rest of the Monday morning schedule, I will pick up her administrative duties, which include book orders and planning programs. So we will move this forward as quickly as we can in a timely fashion while ensuring the best candidates are chosen to work in our fantastic library. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much
You're very
for
welcome.
making those decisions and bringing us up to date.
Thank you.
Anybody else for today's participation? Dot.
Thank you. I stopped in, as I usually do, once a week at the Moxie store. When I went in this afternoon, that place was packed. There were people there from Pennsylvania. There were people there from Canada. When they left, more people from Canada came in. Wow. That place is as much of a landmark as Graziano's. I didn't hear anyone complain that the building needs painting. I didn't hear anyone complain that it looks awful and it should be torn down. That has brought more publicity to the town of Lisbon and the state of Maine than I don't know what and who else. Probably as much, if not more, than the Rockland Lobster Festival. That place is an icon, and everyone here in town should be appreciative of it. And I also drive by the gym every once in a while, occasionally, and it's coming along wonderfully. It's a beautiful building, and I think we all in town should be really, really proud of it. I think this is an investment in the town, in the future of the town of Lisbon. Thank you.
Welcome. Anybody else? Seeing none, move on to the next item, please.
Is appointments. Order 2015-230, council chairman appoints the chair for the ethics panel.
I'll take the opportunity to appoint David Bowie as chairman of the ethics panel for this year. And the next item, please.
Order 2015-230, the Lisbon Cemetery Committee. We have one regular member and an application from Lynette Carver.
Open the floor for a motion.
Make the motion that we accept Lynette Carver.
And a second.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Order passed 5-0.
And the next item, please.
Council Communications.
Start with Greg. Do you have anything? No? Mark?
Oh, I'm glad to be out of the hospital and back to serving people in Lisbon, and I hope to not have to be back in there, so I hope to see you at as many meetings as I can.
Greg?
I'm good.
Greg. Eric?
It's all right. I've been called a lot of different names.
Chris, do you have anything?
No, I don't.
I have two things I wanted to briefly address that I've heard rumors throughout the community on. I think it'd be important to address those two items. The first one, as everybody is aware, at the last council meeting, we made it clear on the construction and payment of construction for the gymnasium that we weren't signing any checks for the construction of the gymnasium until compliance was gained from the school department for documents that they requested from our administration here, and that the finance director is part of the construction meetings. Miraculously, early Wednesday morning, the documents became available through a Dropbox that was discovered. And our finance director is been invited to the construction meeting, so I want the public to know that I came in Thursday evening, and I signed the warrant for the checks to be released for the gymnasium. So the construction is continuing. I was at Chummy's Saturday morning, and there was a lot of whisper going around from a big table that the construction had come to a halt, so I wanted to share that. And the second item I had is related to the school budget. There's a lot of misconceptions on what budget the school is operating on and how they're moving forward. As of right now, the school department is operating off of the budget the council approved on May 19th to send to the voters. Up until August 11th, they will be operating on that budget. Come August 11th, or I should say August 12th, if the budget is defeated by the tax or the citizens on August 11th, the school department will then switch over, and they'll be operating off of the budget the council approved in July, which will be the budget that's being voted on August 11th. That will also be the budget that the administration will be committing taxes on, is a budget that was sent to the voters to be voted on August 11th. A lot of people have a consumption that the school department is operating off of last year's budget, and that taxes will be committed off of last year's school budget, when that is not the case. So I wanted to clear that up, and hopefully that answers any questions that are floating out in the community. And anything else from council? Next item, please.
Is executive session, order 2015-232 and 233, to go into executive session for 1 MRSA, section 405, 6C, acquisition or disposition of real property or economic development, and D, labor negotiations.
I'll open the floor for a motion.
Make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Diane, are you expecting a vote?
Nope.
Okay. A vote is not expected to follow. We will move into executive session. All those in favor?
Order passed 5-0. Are you moving out of this room or staying in this room?
I will stay.
Okay.
Do you guys want us to go in the other room?
Doesn't matter.
You did?
Talk about Fairbanks Road. Kind of sitting right there, they got up and left.
Take care. The one in the back?
Yeah, full head of hair with the girl sitting next to him.
Yeah.
That's Kenny Fairbanks. Yes, it's been on television more than
I was gonna say, yeah, that they